Welcome to Intention Now podcast. Today we have a special podcast. Our podcast was created to create awareness to help others. Today we are standing in support of our first responders who risk their lives every day to protect us. My friend Don Bozzi, a fellow veteran, shared his story of a family friend, Brian Frank, an Illinois State Trooper who was severely injured in a traffic accident. We believe it's crucial to raise awareness about Brian's situation and the challenges he continues to face. On the show today, we have Lauren Frank, the wife of Brian Frank, and obviously Don Bozzi. Lauren and Don, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
thanks.
Don, thank you for inviting Lauren on the show today to learn about Brian's story. And I think you guys are pretty much know each other through families. Is that correct, Don?
Yeah, I've never met Brian or Lauren.
Okay.
And
Now you have.
now I have for the first time.
Right.
And our fathers have known each other since third grade, from what I understand.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I remember seeing Joe, her father, growing up when we used to live out in Forest Park, and he used to have a pizzeria on Harlem Avenue.
Oh, no way.
Right by the North Riverside Mall.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Right across the street from the Morton West High School.
Okay, very good.
In that area. And back then, and I'm sure Lauren could probably contest, he looked like Luigi back then. He had the big mustache and everything, and he had the best pizza in the world. And even to this day, my father says he still has the best pizza in the world.
He still does. He still
does. That's awesome. Does he still have the pizza shop? No. Okay. Awesome. I may have gone to it. I grew up in Melrose Park, not too far from here. So yeah,
it's a short run, but he still makes it. He's still the pizza guy in our world. So
awesome. Well, Lauren, it's a pleasure to have you on here on the podcast today. Can you please tell us a little bit about your family and a little bit about Brian? That'd be great.
Yeah. So my family is we're a small family. We're based in Lisle, Illinois. My mom and my dad and my brother Joe his name is Joe also. So we got the two Dons and then the two Joes.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I've heard a lot about Don's father, Don, my whole life. And I remember going to their house actually when I was little too. But anyway, so Brian and I met in 2017 through mutual friends. Actually, my good friend Matt is in with the state police, and that's how he met Brian. So I had set him up with his wife prior to me meeting Brian. When he met Brian in the academy, then a couple of years later, they set us up. So,
nice.
So we met in 2017 on a ski trip, and then maybe it was 2016 because we got married in 2018, and then 2 years later in 2021, Brian was assisting a crashed semi in a snowstorm, and he was shutting down the lane. So he put his squad car in the left lane, put flares out, and then a distracted driver hit him at 80 miles an hour. Failure to initiate brakes and everything. And he was in the vehicle and suffered a severe traumatic brain injury. His gun safe had impacted through the second, row seats into the front seat, and he hit his head pretty significantly. So he had 3 brain surgeries, but it left him in a coma. So they medically induced a coma, but then he remained in a coma for almost 3 months. So this traumatic brain injury world was brand new to me. It's a long, confusing path to be on because the doctors and the medical professionals don't know a lot about the brain. They know some stuff and they know how to save a life, and they did everything that they could do, I think. But then you're kind of left with this, like, we don't know what's going to happen. He could get better, he could not, and good luck. And so it's been exhausting. I quit my job, I sold my company, and I've just been navigating this as best as I can, trying to find out what else is out there besides what's available in the hospital. So we were 32 years old when it happened. We'll both be turning 36 this year. Brian's still minimally conscious, so that means that he has some level of consciousness where his eyes are open and he has a sleep-wake cycle and he can make sounds, and he has said words a couple of times. He's starting to communicate with no. We're trialing a lot of visual communication devices to see if we can start to establish communication with him. But the best thing I found is this clinic in Texas called Neurosolution, where they do stem cells, photobiomodulation, which is an infrared and red light therapy. That's kind of groundbreaking. It's been around for a long time, but it's been groundbreaking in TBI and other brain injury realms, like, autism and stroke patients. All kinds of people benefit from what they're offering. So I brought him there for 1 month this year, and it went really well. So we're going to try to get him back there for the winter and do 3 more rounds and just see what more is possible for his recovery.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know that light therapy definitely does work. About 10 years ago is when I first heard about light therapy. I was actually in sales and was visiting a gentleman in Oak Brook, and he actually had a financial company and a knife company, like right next to each other. I go, man, it's a crazy combination. How'd you wind up doing that? Or, have you done this all your life? And he goes, no, I was actually a SWAT police officer in the past. I go, no way, that's awesome. Congratulations. I told him I was in the Marine Corps, so we kind of, hit it off a little bit. And he goes, I go, why'd you stop being an officer? He said that he had a motorcycle accident and hit his head, and he had traumatic brain injury. And basically, all the doctors didn't know what they were doing. They put him on several meds. He felt like he was falling apart, going crazy. He said, one day I even grabbed a hatchet and started hitting my drywall inside my house. My wife went crazy. I go, yeah, I could imagine, So I go, what did you do? He goes, I did light therapy. I go, what's light therapy, right? So he actually did light therapy, and that actually healed him. So I'm hoping that you'll keep seeing good results for Brian, which is pretty cool. And so basically the state's supporting you guys, right? Financially and medically, right?
To the extent of, what's considered medical. Yeah.
But third party options, they never support. Okay.
Correct.
Kind of the same way with the VA. I was just having a conversation with some other veterans last couple of days. It's like, you know what? We need to bring solutions so people could actually find these easier, right? Because when I first heard about light therapy, I had no clue, right? It's like, why aren't more people aware of this, right? So that's what we want to do. And so basically, you have to pay for all the travel to Texas, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, can I back up for a second? So
Sure.
Brian had a traumatic brain injury. So is he completely disabled? Can't walk? Can you go a little bit more detail on that, please?
He's considered by the state permanently totally disabled.
Okay.
That's just like what we have to establish in order to keep our medical open. It doesn't mean that he won't ever get better, but for now, like that's the category they've put him in. He can't walk. He's fully dependent upon nursing for everything. So he can't stand, he can't walk, he can't talk, he cannot eat. So everything is assisted, showering, toileting, food, everything, medications, it's all through G-tube. So right now he can't do anything for himself.
Wow.
Can I
awesome.
say something real quick?
Yeah, Dan, go ahead.
So to iterate what Lauren was talking about, as far as like with the brain and how the doctors are having a difficult time. I suffer from not only PTSD and a little bit of the traumatic brain injury from my time in Iraq with IEDs and so on and so forth, but I suffer from conversion disorder. And the brain is so complex. There's a different levels of TBI and post-traumatic stress disorders. Whereas Brian has like the most severe case, where my case is the more severe case of PTSD, not the TBI. And people have to understand that the complexity of the brain is probably the most complex computer of any computer out there.
Right.
It's just like you can't just take apart the brain like a computer and try to fix it. There is so much more involved. And I wish it was that easy so people like Brian could go ahead and actually be better overnight or within a short period of time. But unfortunately, it takes a long time for it to get the results that Lauren and Brian need.
Right.
So we're hoping that with the funding that I'm hoping to raise can at least help with some of those costs,
Yeah, I definitely want you to talk a little bit about the event that you're going to have towards the end, if you don't mind, Don. But
Sure.
but thank you. But yeah, that's it's subject that most people don't understand, right? That's why I think creating awareness is great. I wanted to backtrack a little bit to what happened, Brian. So he was actually on the highway, right?
Yeah.
Illinois State Trooper,
Mhm.
pulled over. Was it an accident or what had
Yeah,
happened?
so a semi had spun out or crashed into the median, and it was on I-55 in Joliet, and out
Okay,
there was no shoulder. So that's, I mean, a whole other issue. But
right.
so there was a trooper already on site, backing up the crash, assisting that motorist.
Lights were on, right?
Lights were on, and she called for backup. So then
Okay,
Brian was the backup, and she needed the lane shut down so that, because it was a curve. So if you had to shut down the left lane so that other vehicles won't start to pile into her
right.
and then the truck and then create this huge, incident.
Spot,
So
right.
Brian put out flares and shut down the left lane. And so he had lights activated, flares out. And according to the dash cam, 500 cars successfully went around him and avoided the pileup, except for the one distracted driver that we don't know what the distraction was never ruled. I think his phone was damaged in the crash to the point of no
Gonna
telling.
recover it. Okay, got it.
Right. So,
Okay.
we can assume, but we can't say for sure, but either
Got it,
way.
got it. So it was a distracted driver and didn't abide by moving over. Scott, is
Then
it Scott Law? Scott's
Scott's
Law, is that
law,
what it is?
yeah,
Okay, all
yes,
right.
correct. So he did not slow down or move over,
Okay.
initiate brake. It was just a full impact at 80 miles an hour. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So yeah, I think that's another subject I want to kind of bring up because most people are so distracted nowadays. I mean, every time I get to a red light, everyone's on their phone, right?
Yeah.
And
I rolled my window down and yell at people. I have no shame.
yeah,
Uh,
so sometimes it's like, man, I wish I had a badge. It's just
right,
honk my horn and show them, right? It's like get off
right.
that thing, right? But yeah, just wanted to bring that up, so people are aware to get off those damn things or
Right.
pay attention to what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Now we have someone that's tragically, can't live his life normally. Family suffered.
Yeah.
So many things are happening that for a few seconds that you want to do something,
Yeah.
it costs everyone's life, and I'm sure the guy that hit him too. It's going to impact them forever.
Yeah.
But thank you for that. I appreciate that. So we're creating some awareness on the Scots laws. We're creating awareness on what happened, to Brian, and I wanted to find out. Right now, the main thing that you're looking for, if we could help, because you do have some funding, you do have some stuff that the state's helping. I think the most funding that you need is for the light therapy, right? And the stem cells. Is that correct?
Yes. And the thing that surprised me the most, was really just the logistics of transporting a patient like Brian, who is
Okay.
wheelchair bound, excuse me.
Yeah, you can't just put them on an airplane or drive them there, right?
No, and they'll tell you they'll tell you he can do a stand pivot into the chair, and then they'll check his chair. And I'm like, he has a 500-pound chair. It's a custom chair that it's a stander too. I mean,
Okay.
I would never check that into the underbelly of an airplane ever. And
Right.
no, a Delta's currently working on a way to create floor joists like they do in the vans, where you could bring your own wheelchair and lock in. Uh,
Okay.
they're only going to make, I think, 4 or 6 seats available per flight, but that's going to be in the future. Hopefully by the end of this year, they'll get that approved, and we'll see that next year with Delta. But as
Okay.
of right now in the United States, if you're traveling within the United States, you cannot bring a handicapped patient in their own chair on a flight.
You're
So,
kidding me.
so
Wow.
what I did was I started looking into everything possible that would be cost effective, because
Okay.
obviously treatments, I mean, for 1 month there, I spent $140,000, and that was for lodging, food, vehicle, gas, like the treatment itself, and then the transportation. So
And
it's,
are you going every month?
no, we went for 1 month. We were originally going to go for 2, but I raised enough money to stay for 4 weeks.
Okay.
At the end of that,
I'm sorry, is it light therapy every day?
yeah, so 5 hours a
Okay.
day in
Okay,
there,
go ahead.
4
Sorry.
5
All
hours
right.
a day. Yeah.
Okay.
So 5 days a week, 3 to 4 hours a day. That's what we do with the doctor.
Okay.
So anyways, with the transportation part, I was I was totally heartbroken that this is the scenario for not just us, but for anybody wheelchair bound that requires a full assist. There was nothing. I called all the angel wing, organizations that
Yeah,
do,
not for profits.
but
Yep.
yeah, they can't, because they couldn't accommodate a stretcher, and they couldn't accommodate getting a chair up to the
So how
jet.
do you do it then?
So you have to hire an air ambulance and an medical ambulance with 2 medics available, and that cost 35,000 minimum one way. So it cost me
Wow.
$70,000
Just
just
to
to
get
take
there.
a 2-hour flight. Like, I mean, I raised the funds. I was able to do it with the help of like some nonprofits that came through at the very final hour. But I mean, it was so close to not happening that I went to the local RV company here. Like I
Oh,
don't
that's
remember.
okay.
Yeah, and I looked at a medical RV that was accommodating for wheelchairs, but it still wasn't going to be the solution because I still needed a van, and then I would have needed a bunch of drivers, and it would have taken 20 hours to get them there.
Well, if all, so obviously we want to help raise some funds for that, so you get to keep bringing them out there. But if anybody on the podcast knows of a better solution, right? This is what it's all about, creating awareness. And I'm going to actually, after we're done here, I'm going to talk to you a little bit, Lauren, because I've heard of 2 or 3 other things that might help out Brian as well. But let's go ahead and everybody chime in and just send that information. I'm going to put all the links for everyone's contact on here. And let's just share the wealth, right? Share on how everyone could help with the transportation, help out with any kind of other different solutions. So, but that's perfect. Don, can you tell us a little bit about what you are doing for fundraising?
Yeah. So I heard about what happened with Brian through Lauren's father, Joe. And I says, I have to do something. My father says,
Awesome.
why? I mean, you don't know him, and he says, Joe never brought it up. Like, why? I says, well, because it's the right thing to do. He says, that's what I want to hear. It's the right thing to do, son. Being, like I said earlier, being somebody who has post-traumatic stress disorder, I see veterans like this. I own a wood shop that my motto is veteran made to help veterans in need, to include law enforcement officers. I'm not going to be a hypocrite and not help out somebody like Brian. So I decided I'm going to go ahead and take my time for the last 3 months to go ahead and everything that I make, everything that I've sold for the last 3 months, it's not portions of the proceeds, all of the proceeds will be going to Brian.
That's awesome.
So you got that coming, Lauren.
Thank
Number
you.
number two, I decided 3 months ago, I wanted to go ahead and have a fundraiser made. So, I talked to the people at Alley 64 in St. Charles, who I become friends with in the last about 2 years. And, they says, yeah, we could go ahead and accommodate our facility. We'll host it. I'll sponsor it. I'll put it together. And it's actually a very easy task to do. The only difficult part was getting people to donate. Large companies want a 501c3. I am not a large company. I'm not a 501c3. So it's going to the smaller independent stores. They are the accommodating ones. And so I think I got it. But I also have some pretty cool stuff that is going into the silent auction that I know will raise some really good funds. And if you don't mind, I'd like to share a couple of those items. I'm not going to give all the items, but just to give a couple items for the people, the viewers that are watching this show.
Hey, Don, real quick. So you're gonna have the event in St. Charles. What's the date of the event?
Oh yeah. So the event will be on August 17th.
Okay.
At Alley 64 between 1 to 7. Okay.
In St. Charles, Illinois.
In St. Charles, Illinois.
Okay. And the event's going to be just
it's a raffle and a silent auction.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay. These are the tickets. There's 1,000 tickets right here. I'm probably going to order more because I'm expecting to have a lot more, especially the Illinois state troopers, the lady who's in charge of the newsletters, she contacted me and asked for my permission to post the flyer of the event throughout the entire state. I said, well, absolutely. So I'm hoping we should have a lot of Illinois state troopers there.
Okay.
I've also went to 6 municipalities, 5 or 6 counties to pass out to the county sheriffs. So we should have a lot of law enforcement officers showing up. At least I'm hoping. Not to mention everybody within the community. So that being said, the raffle tickets will be sold at the door or at the event. The silent auction will start on August 1st online, and I could go ahead and provide that link to you if you like, either now or at another time.
Yeah, you could send to me after we're done here. I'm gonna get
Sure.
this uploaded by this weekend, so I have a little bit
Sure.
of time to update it and stuff.
But that's gonna start on August 1st at noon. So people
Okay.
can go ahead and start bidding on the items early and
Okay.
start generating revenue for Lauren and Brian early.
And you said you had some items you wanted to show?
Yeah, I could go ahead and mention them real quick. So
Yeah.
I have a signed authentic Pete Rose baseball bat.
Okay, awesome.
Okay. I have a Michael Jordan baseball card that was before he was in the White Sox. This was a promo card from 1991.
Okay.
I also have a Dan Hampton football and a photo, as well as a VHS of the Super Bowl 20. So Dan Hampton football signed by him during his Hall of Fame in I think it was 2020. So that should bring in some pretty good revenue. Those are just some of the sports items.
Awesome.
You know, and
Okay.
then of course there's some items that I made that should as well, like a lit up flag. It's pretty awesome.
Awesome, Don. I'll definitely be there as well. So be there to support. You brought up a good point that I never thought of, is that large companies can't donate to you. Can they donate to you, Lauren?
Yeah, sorry, I muted myself. 'Cause the
Yeah,
dog
I heard you. I saw your puppy moving around. No worries. Hey.
Yeah, so actually, through the Got Your Six Foundation, that's I have a tax number ID for that.
Okay.
So things can go through, it's a Troopers Foundation, but he asked me to sit on the board of directors and I can give that out and then he will pass along the check through to me.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, all these links we definitely will share. This is going to be on YouTube, so all the links will be on there. It's going to actually go on LinkedIn, where there'll be a lot of businesses that will be able to see this as well. So hopefully we're able to get some funds to get Brian a little bit more help. So awesome.
Okay.
Anything else that you guys want to talk about before I start wrapping up?
I can't.
Well, I just hope that we're able to go ahead and have a big crowd, a lot of people bringing in their pocket, a lot of money in their pocketbooks, bring their checkbooks, and just start donating. And if they can make the events for the Scott's Law and the TBI awareness, that would be fantastic. Because it's not about me. This is about Lauren and Brian, and I'm just happy to go ahead and do this for them. And
Yeah.
I just want to make a big positive impact on their life.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Don, for setting this up. Lauren, I had one last thing for you. What would you like to see changed with, like, when an officer gets hurt, injured, like Brian did, for the future? If you could change something, right? What would be the biggest thing that you'd want people to be aware of that's really needed?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, something I am actively working on with the state's attorney's office in Will County.
Okay.
So I met with Jim Glasgow and his team to talk about like changing the law. So sorry, she barks at every sound.
That's okay.
So Scott's Law is an excellent law, but there's a lot of verbiage that needs to be changed so that it can be. Layla, come here. Come here. You're okay.
She's protecting you.
Is. So there's like language, for example, when I went to the bill signing in 2021, the year he got hit, they changed the verbiage to slow down and move over. It used to be slow down or. So it's as small as like a single word that we're going up against. So that's changed so that it's and. So a violation is if you don't slow down and you don't move over. So if you don't do one of those things, that's still considered a violation. But then in the other categories that we're looking to change would be the repercussions. So right now, the language I think is, does not include catastrophic injury to the point of disability. So like they figured out how to handle line of duty death. They figured out how to handle workman's comp for a broken arm, broken leg, whatever that is, where there's a certain period of time that you're out for, but there's nothing for catastrophic injury that's specific. So with Brian's case, I've really been kind of out on my own island navigating how to do this with the state because there's nothing in place for this. So they've kind of just been like, good luck, like, hope you figure it out. And so I've had to be the one to come to the state and say, what about his deferred comp account? Where is that? How do I get that? What about insurance? What about this? Like every single part of it has been me having to think of it and then go ask for it or go ask for help or whatever that is. So I've also met with the Fraternal Order of Police and talked about changing the employment contracts and putting in place a protocol for the families of the next injured trooper. Because this will happen again. Unfortunately, it's just nature. Someone's going to get hurt and be permanently disabled, and that poor family is not going to know what to do. And so so for me, I had my own company before. So I'm all about problem solving and being proactive and being outspoken. That's in my wheelhouse. So for me, I'm like set up to do this. But if it was, someone is single and they don't have a family member that's, able to be of sound mind or navigate this, they would be screwed and they wouldn't have any sort of like roadmap for what's next.
Wow.
So I've been helping the Fraternal Order of Police and meeting with state's attorneys and whatnot to navigate like and use our situation and me as a soundboard for like, hey, what have you experienced that was hard? What needs to be different? What do you think? And I've been helping create sort of I guess a playbook for this so that next time it happens, the state police can show up and say, okay, here's the next steps. This is what's going to happen. Yeah. Because I didn't
Here's
know.
your checklist, right?
Yeah, I didn't know anything. I had no idea about moving him into permanently totally disabled, like how to get a workman's comp attorney, how to navigate his payroll and how that would look and medical. So there was just so many moving parts that, I was lucky enough to make friends with some of the troopers through his own team to be like, hey, have you thought of this? Did you know about this? Can we help you? And so other troopers kind of helped show me the way, but there was never any sort of, here's what's going to happen now. Yeah.
So I know the answer to this. I know you got this all documented, right? So are you going to be putting that online eventually for people to be able to get that resource from you?
Yeah, it's in process. So it's still a lot of meetings ahead. There's still a lot of things like that. And then I've been in close touch with the director of the state police and the governor about some changes that are being made through the state with like Google, for example. They're going to be doing, they're going to launch something where like phones will be alerted when there's a first responder up ahead on the road. So similar to like an Amber Alert on your phone.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
they're going to.
that's a good point because I've actually seen before where I'm on the left lane and there's somebody on the right lane, right? And there's a semi ahead of them and there's a trooper pulled over and that person can't move over.
Right.
Right. It's like,
there's not enough notice. Yeah.
It's not enough notice. I love that. And then the other thing I was thinking, it's like, why don't they just wait to the next exit? Right. It's, obviously, there's going to be some criminals that are going to want to escape. But why put the trooper's life or that other person's life or someone else's life on jeopardy? But anyway, that's just my thought. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
So Dodge, Jeep, Chrysler has already kind of initiated that technology in their vehicles. So
oh wow, okay.
The newer vehicles, their GPS systems will alert. I've actually been in the car when it's gone off and I was like, oh, they're actually doing it. So that was
awesome.
signing is that some of that technology would start to be integrated. And so it's slowly rolling out. But yeah, Jeep, Dodge, Chrysler is the first one to do that with their new vehicles. And then now Google is going to jump on and try to integrate it into the Google Maps system. So that'll be this year, you'll see that probably happen.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for all that information. It's a pleasure to have you guys on here. A pleasure to meet you, Lauren. And I'm not sure if you're going to go to the event for Don, but hopefully I could meet you there in person.
Oh yeah, I'll be there.
So meet you there in person, and definitely I'm going to send me all the links so we could get the awareness set up.
Okay.
And thank you very much. And God bless you and your family.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, John, for everything you've done for us. It's so nice to see our families integrate still to this day. It's very cool.